Hello.
Hi.
Hi.
Nice to meet you.
You as well. Thank you for having me.
Thanks for coming on. I was reading a few things about your bio, but I hadn't about how your book is coming out tomorrow, codename Helen, and that also you're the co-founder of SheReads.org,
Yes.
right? Which is
Yes.
very cool. And you live with your 4 sons and your husband in the rolling hills outside Nashville, Tennessee. That sounds very lovely.
It's the suburbs. It's
Yeah.
beautiful.
Tell us all about your book. We're so how exciting that it's coming out.
Oh, thanks. Yes, out tomorrow. It's called Codename Helene, and it is based on the real story of a woman named Nancy Wake. She was an Australian expat, a young woman who was traveling the world. She was living in Paris at the time. She just bluffed her way into a reporting job for Hearst newspapers and met a man that she fell in love with right as the Germans invaded France. And she found herself in this position where she could do nothing or she could do something. And Nancy was not the sort of woman to sit around and do nothing. So she began smuggling. She began smuggling people from one end of France to the other to get them out. And she began smuggling documents, mainly fake identification cards. And she became so good at her job that she became the most wanted person by the Gestapo throughout the war in any theater. And they put a 5 million franc price on her head, and she had to escape France. But she went directly to London, joined the special operations executive, and was flown back into France behind enemy lines, where she ended up leading thousands of men into battle against the Germans. So that's the short version. The novel is her story.
I love how you wrote the novel in the first person. I feel like that doesn't happen as often. I feel like in historical novels, do you feel like that? I don't know.
I do, and this was the first novel I'd written entirely in first person. I've written part of one in first person, but never 400 pages. So that
Yeah.
was
Do you feel like you are just like channeling Nancy, like this is you now, like you're ready to be a secret
when I
spy
was
and creep around
writing.
your house?
Yes, when I was writing it, absolutely. And the funny thing is, she was known. She was just really ballsy and really brassy, and she would wear red lipstick into battle. So every day when I was writing, I would sit at my desk and I'd put on some red lipstick and get to work.
I love that.
Yeah.
How did you pick her story? Is it because of the op-ed that you read? I no.
No, well, kind of.
I'm sorry, not the op-ed, the obit, sorry.
Yes, a friend of mine, her mother was born and raised in Tasmania, just off the coast of Australia. And Nancy is a national hero in Australia. And several years ago, my friend's mother sent me an email and she said, if you don't write about this woman next, we can no longer be friends. And I read the link she included in her email, and it was fascinating. I'd never read about a woman like that before. And I mean, I couldn't make her up. I couldn't create a character fun or vivid as she was in real life.
Wow. Yeah, she has quite a story. Did you get in touch with any of her survivors in any way? No.
She never had children.
You never had children. Sorry. I didn't read the book yet.
Oh
But
no,
I'm so
it's fine.
excited to.
She didn't have children. She died in 2011 of natural causes in England. So there was, and her contemporaries had all passed by then as well. So I got to make her up, but it wasn't as hard as you would think because she'd written an autobiography in the 50s, and I was able to read in her own words and in her voice and recreate her story from there.
Wow. And is there anything that draws you in particular to this time period or not really?
Not the time period so much as the woman herself. I was fascinated by the idea of a woman becoming a warrior. There were
Mm-hmm.
plenty of female spies during World War II, but I can only think of a handful of military leaders. And it's so intimidating to me. There's zero chance I would ever do that, but I was amazed by a woman who would jump out of an airplane and go lead a bunch of men into battle.
I guess I feel like what this time is teaching me, it's like you don't really know what you do until you're in those situations, right?
Yes,
Like
yeah. And
how you behave.
thing
Go ahead.
about World War II, I think, is it was this moment in history where your average person had to become a hero. Your
Mm-hmm.
butcher, your baker, your candlestick maker, they all had to be brave in ways that they never anticipated being brave. And I don't know, kind of relates to our current moment, I suppose, a little bit.
And how are you getting through this time?
Ooh,
Are you writing, reading? How are your kids
um,
doing?
My kids are fine. There's a lot of them. They're all boys and they're all here. So having a house full of large, hungry males is overwhelming at times. Sometimes I just have to leave and go for a walk. But we're fine. The school bit is weird. Like,
Yeah.
how? I don't know. I don't even know how we're supposed to do this. But we're getting in. We're getting through. It's fine. We're plugging along day after day.
Are you finding any time to write?
A little bit, yes. In the mornings when it's quiet, in the evenings when it's quiet. I kind of have to carve out the time in smaller chunks now. So instead of writing when everyone's at school, I have to write when the house is quiet or when they're outside or when I can.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
Well, we're so excited to have another amazing book coming out tomorrow, and I'm delighted to be talking to you today about it. So thank you for coming on and telling me more about it, and also for shining the light on a story of a woman who I probably wouldn't have heard anything about and now can inspire so many more people.
Yeah, I'd never heard about her either. She wasn't American and she wasn't male, and I think she got erased from the history books, which is sad. It's terrible, but I tried to do my part to bring her back.
I love it. That's awesome. Well, thank you so much. Congratulations on your book.
Thank you for having me.
Exciting. Of course. Bye.